Yeah, well done. And thank you to all of you for the opportunity to share this project. Lisa's quite right. The contribution from the Rotary Club of Adelaide has been absolutely outstanding. And this morning we had a Zoom meeting with Rotary International in Houston, and participating in that was Greg Nagy and his staff, because they've been appointed, as Lisa said, to advise Rotary International strategically on this project, on strategic communication. We know how much Joe does in our club, and Greg's volunteering his time as well, so it's absolutely wonderful. For 5 years now, Rotary International has been looking at whether our structure is fit for purpose. It's been the same structure for 120 years. And as we know, things have changed. And despite the passion and efforts of many, we continue to face challenges. Not just our membership, as Lisa mentioned, down 24% in 10 years, but also not promoting ourselves effectively of what we do. Laurie Lewis would agree with that, public image. And plus there's many other issues that you will soon hear about on this video I'm about to play. We all know our world has changed. Just look at the last 2 years. What used to appeal and attract volunteers has changed, and their expectations are now different, and Rotary has to respond differently. And whilst we're doing our best in this situation, a group, as Lisa has described, including 3 members from our club, Darcy, myself and Raph, have been working on this for 3 years. And now the board, RI board, has recognised this and offered our region, Australia and New Zealand, and the Pacific Islands, to be one of only 2 regions in the world to pilot this opportunity, to explore, develop and test a new way of doing things in a way that values what we must never lose, service and friendships and fellowships. To get the ball rolling, let's have a look at this introductory video, and then Darcy will talk about the proposed pilot. We'll have questions. So do I just click on this, John? Double? And that's as high as it goes. Turn it up. Is it coming out? Well done.
Rotary has had an enormous impact on Australia, New Zealand and the Pacific Island region over the past century. Rotarians and Rotaractors have served their communities, volunteered, raised much needed funds, applied their leadership skills and made lasting friendships along the way. And now it's time to think about the future and create the Rotary of tomorrow. This presentation's been created to inform you about how you can help Rotary evolve in the Australia, New Zealand and Pacific Island region, or Zone 8, in response to the changing world in which we live. First, I'd like to share a quote from the founder of Rotary, Paul Harris. It's been said that the test of wisdom is its ability to remain relevant and valid over time. Paul Harris understood that for Rotary to remain relevant, it would need to adapt from time to time. So what could the Rotary of the future look like? Through an extensive planning and consultation process involving thousands of Rotarians across the world, Rotary International has identified that for Rotary to flourish in the future, it should be diverse, equitable and inclusive. Many Rotary clubs across our region are well on their way to delivering against this vision, but there's more to be done. To realise this future, Rotary needs to continue to adapt and change. Like many long-standing organisations and institutions, Rotary's facing significant challenges in ensuring future sustainable success. For example, over the past 10 years in our zone, Rotary membership has declined 24%, despite a 20% growth in population. And people don't really understand what Rotary is or what Rotarians do. The image of some kind of club for businessmen may still persist in the eyes of the general public. Or is Rotary just the people behind the local weekend sausage sizzle? Whatever the perceptions that people may have of Rotary, it most likely doesn't match reality. Key challenges Rotary clubs face in our region include ageing and declining membership, attracting and retaining members. This is now a growing challenge in the face of rapidly changing volunteer expectations. As mentioned, the general public has a lack of understanding of Rotary. Our governance structure is considered costly and outmoded. And finally, we don't use technology all that well. But there is something we can do to address these challenges. A regionalisation team's been established to identify objectives and focus areas where Rotary can evolve. Obviously, the goal is to improve some aspects of Rotary while enhancing the positive aspects that matter to all of you, such as community impact and connecting with friends. This project is for Zone 8, which includes Australia, New Zealand and the Pacific region. Led by Rotarians in our region for members and clubs in our part of the world, and supported by Rotary International. Your help is needed to ensure Rotary doesn't just survive, but flourishes as an organisation. This is an opportunity to define a Rotary people want to join, one more valued in our community and more fun to belong to. Rotary International supports Zone 8 undertaking a pilot as one of 2 throughout the world, and the Council on Legislation's recently cleared the path for a pilot in our region. It'll be an inclusive and collaborative exercise in which change will be explored, tested and developed in consultation with you, the members and your club. It's vital for you to have your say and participate in creating tomorrow for Rotary. So how can Rotary change for the better? Based on member surveys and other feedback, 5 objectives have been identified. Better connection, better member and club experience, better governance structure, one Rotary voice, and more relevant leadership opportunities. Working groups have been established to explore each of these objectives. So how can Rotary change? Some ideas proposed are better use of technology and platforms, more direct support to clubs to help them create vibrant and positive environments, the elimination of duplication and cost through streamlining, having one Rotary voice to better engage community, corporates and government, and providing doable and relevant leadership growth opportunities. As you can see, the pilot opportunity is about evolving Rotary to benefit you, the members, and your club. It aims to do this by better connecting Rotarians and clubs, by promoting better member and club experiences focused on service and fun, by trialling a streamlined, cost-effective governance structure to increase Rotary's impact, by presenting one Rotary voice to enhance our public image and reach, and by providing more relevant personal development opportunities. So now you're invited to help create tomorrow. Here's an opportunity to trial a new approach, to make Rotary better for you and your club so that you can get on with what's important to you, connecting with each other and creating positive impact in our community. Your opinion matters, and this pilot will not proceed unless you, the members, support it. It's great that Rotary International's given Zone 8 the green light to be one of 2 global pilots for change. All clubs across the region will be asked to vote whether or not to pilot change or remain as we are today. Please vote yes to creating a more sustainable future for Rotary. You probably have questions in response to this presentation, so now's the time to ask them. For more information and to have your say, go to the website. And there's also a fact sheet available that provides more detail.
Well, there was a few familiar faces there. And thanks very much to Joe and Greg and Nation for producing that wonderful video for us. Now, we're lucky in this club because we've got a very vibrant, large membership group, but not all clubs are like us. Many are struggling. In our district, 9510, 44% of the clubs have got less than 20 members, 19% have got less than 10 members. Furthermore, the drop in membership in the last 10 years, as indicated in that video, of 24% is fine if you look at the figures. 41,000 something 10 years ago, 31,800 or something today. 9,000 drop, 24%. But what it doesn't indicate is that in the last 10 years, Rotary attracted 33,000 new members to clubs in Australia and New Zealand. That means effectively we lost 42,000 members in the last 10 years. We can't keep doing what we're doing. Something's got to change. Now, to give you a little bit more detail on what's being proposed, let's see. What are we going to do? Well, we want to establish a regional governance structure that will transform Rotary and Rotaract in our region and to better support our clubs to provide relevant and engaging experiences that serve our communities and help us grow Rotary. We want to significantly increase our impact and our reach. What we want to deliver is better support to clubs to engage with their members, their volunteers and their community. We want to create new, meaningful, attractive leadership opportunities for our members. We want to build a stronger, unified Rotary brand. John Hendrickson, I'm sure, will be very supportive of that. We want to encourage partnerships with local governments, with other clubs, with corporate sector. And we want to improve efficiencies and reduce the endless duplication that currently goes on across the 23 districts in Australia and New Zealand, thereby reducing overheads and the cost of Rotary to our members. What does this mean for members? Well, it means greater choices, better access to expertise, more flexibility, greater leadership opportunities, a more democratic system, reduced costs through less duplication and greater efficiencies, more collaboration and extended connections. The principle of regionalisation is really to have a democratically elected regional council, which would be supported by highly skilled support committees that clubs could access, together with motivational area leaders that work locally with 10 to 25 clubs. Those area leaders would be elected by the 10 to 25 clubs they will work with and support. Now, any Rotarian or Rotaractor is able to nominate themselves or others for any position. Very open, transparent and democratic. Representation on all committees will be important and will take into consideration things like geography, gender and so on. We want to collect the best resources from all the 23 districts across the current Zone 8, bring them all together centrally and make them directly available to all clubs. And we want to have 2 to 4 year terms for all the office bearers. So what's being proposed? A new regional structure focused on supporting Rotarians and Rotaractors and their clubs and their projects with a democratically elected regional council, teams of highly skilled support people, which we've gathered from the 23 districts in all the different areas that clubs need support in, and these local area leaders supporting their 10 to 25 clubs. Here is the milestones of our process. As David mentioned and was mentioned in the video, here in Australia and New Zealand, we began in January 2019. with a core team of about 9, and David, myself and Raph were on that. That's grown to about 300 hardworking Rotarians in a number of support committees. We've developed objectives, working groups, and we've presented the RI to the point where in February this year they approved in principle us undertaking a pilot, providing we got 2/3 of the majority of all clubs in all districts to say yes to a pilot. Then in April this year, the Council on Legislation approved us undertaking a pilot of more than 1,000 clubs. We got 1,300 clubs across this zone. So we needed that to be able to do a full pilot. We've got that. So we got all the green lights with the one exception, that's the club approval. So in the period up until the end of August, we will be presenting like this to all clubs in all districts across the zone. And in the first week in September, we'll be asking the presidents of each club to vote online through an online process run by RISPO, yes or no. And I'll talk more about that in a minute, the actual question that we'll be asking clubs to vote on. But what's proposed is, from this point on until the end of this year, based on the premise that we hope will be successful in getting clubs to support the pilot, we'll be fine-tuning the design and the transition processes and establishing an implementation committee. Then through to the middle of 2023, subject to the club's approval in September, we'll be undertaking the election and selection processes for the beginning officers in the regional structure and at the area level. Then in the middle of 2023 till mid-2024, we'll begin a transition of processes from the district to the regional council so that they will take on an all-encompassing role of managing these functions centrally. Based on that being successful, the following year, 2025 and 2026, will progressively move all functions from the district to the regional council and its support committees. We will maintain during this period the districts, albeit in a sort of almost shelf-like existence in the last year, until we as a club and every other club in the zone votes either for the acceptance of a regionalisation model or to return to the old district structure. Now the vote, unfortunately for us, is one of the biggest clubs. Someone told me the other day that Melbourne's dropped a bit and we could well be the biggest club in Australia, but I'll say at this stage we're the second biggest. We don't get preferential voting, apparently under the multi-district function role, which this is really becoming until we accept a whole new governance structure. We'll be working through the pilot in a multi-district structure. Voting to participate in a multi-district structure is 1 vote per club. So we only get 1 vote. If clubs don't vote, it's the equivalent of a no vote because we've got to get 2/3 of all the clubs in all the districts voting yes. What happens is the clubs vote and then it goes to the district governor who will see the voting trend within the district and will vote on behalf of the district. One would assume and certainly hope that the district governor's vote would reflect the wishes of the clubs. So what are we actually voting for? We're voting to explore, develop and test alternative ways of operating, or not to participate in a pilot and keep doing what we do now in a vain hope that maybe we can turn things around. If you want to learn more about this process, there's a terrific website, creatingtomorrowsrotary.org, that you can log on to. Again, you'll see lots of familiar Rotary Club of Adelaide faces on that website. You can have your say, you can nominate to participate and give us feedback during the implementation process. And the other thing you can do is read the fact sheet, and we've provided you all with a hard copy of the fact sheet today to read and take home. And there's also a very detailed frequently asked questions and answers section that you can link to from the website. So essentially that's the process, and David